Hey, I'm going to try this one. This is Amanda Zillah. I don't think my mic is working too well, so I'm trying to speak up. I wanted to talk about bipolar disorder 2, which is the diagnosis I have now. I have a long history of mental illness and not being treated properly for it. I think I started having symptoms when I was 10 years old, or maybe earlier, and I was subjected to a lot of wrong-headed treatments of various sorts before anyone put me on any medication, and back then they thought I was depressed, because mostly I am depressed. Bipolar 2 works like this. It's usually long periods of depression followed by hypomanias, which are like manias light. They're nowhere near as dramatic as a mania that would be in bipolar 1. I've never charged $10,000 on a credit card. I've never stayed up 5 days in a row and thought I was Jesus, and I've never done a lot of things that people assume bipolar means. Bipolar 2 is different. You're usually quite depressed, and then you'll have a hypomania, or at least I will have a hypomania, that will last for a couple hours. And how that works is I'll be happy for a little while, then I'll get anxious, and then I'll be depressed again. And when I was younger, I was depressed most of the time, and once or twice a year, I'd be really happy. And now, think about it this way. If you had this happen to you, would you tell your therapist that you had a great day? Because I never did. And I was this little Christian kid, so I thought, oh, God likes me today. God gave me a normal day. All right, praise Jesus. All right, let's go ahead. And so I didn't realize for a long time, when they started treating me for depression, more manic symptoms came out. I remember in particular one doctor gave me 200 milligrams of Zillah, which is a very popular medication for depression, and I was hypomanic for about a year off that. And I didn't think anything was wrong. A lot of other people thought something was wrong. Everyone else figured it out before I did. I was talking about 3 times as fast as I normally do. I would get set off easily. I'd get angry. I'd lose my temper. I'd be really rude. I'd be really inappropriate. I'm inappropriate at the best of times. I can't seem to keep my mouth shut. I was even worse. And after I would work all day on my feet, and then I would go to a track near my work, which was in not the best neighborhood, in the middle of the night, and run and run and run. I'd run about 2-3 miles a night just to try to calm down. And I thought this was normal. I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I suspected I was hypoglycemic, but I never saw a doctor. And it took them, and basically it was all fun and games until I wound up in the emergency room with my blood pressure at 240, and I was trying to get them to commit me, which they did not do, because I was deemed not to be a danger to myself or others. I know the rules now. Next time I feel like I'm going to the hospital, yeah, I know what to do now. So what happened, but the good thing that came out of that was somebody finally diagnosed me with having a bipolar disorder, and eventually bipolar 2, and they put me on medication for it. I wound up having to take a week off work just to adjust to the medication because it made me sleep 16 hours a day for the first week. So that was how we figured out what was wrong. And then I had kind of an existential crisis because I was thinking, if I'm happy and it's a symptom of my illness, and I'm sad as a symptom of my illness, then where is my real personality? Who am I? And it took a while to realize that I wasn't my illness, and I never had been. That was something I had to remember. And I was already 34. I should have gotten all that, who am I crap out of my system by now. But that was a pretty big thing to deal with. And so that was hard. And so now I'm trying to get more help. I've changed my medication. They put me on Zyprexa first time, which works quite well for bipolar 2 disorder, but it also put 60 pounds on me in like 3 months. And I've lost some of it, but it would keep creeping back. And I don't mind being fat. I mean, being fat is okay. I don't mind the fact that I am, and I will say this on camera, 220 pounds. That's how much I weigh right now. But there is a limit, at least for me. I didn't want to be 260 because it was starting to push my blood sugar up. So I lost a little bit of weight. And finally, they put me on a new medication this year, which works okay, but I may have to talk to them because I'm still having a lot of bad days. But I'm also realizing that I'm having a lot of times I was calling in to work and I didn't realize I was calling in because of my bipolar disorder and my anxiety disorder. I thought I was actually sick because I was having anxiety attacks, and those have physical symptoms for me. So I just thought I got sick a lot. Now I call in. I don't actually say I'm calling in for my bipolar disorder, but everyone sort of knows because I'm sort of out at work. They know that I have bipolar disorder type 2, and they're okay with it. They're surprisingly okay with it. And I don't know if I would do this at any place I worked, but for this place it works fine. And I wouldn't recommend that for anyone else unless they kind of knew their employers too. So that's kind of how it goes. I've been going to a lot of therapy this year, a lot of group therapies, med shrinks, and it's helping, but if I had to describe being bipolar 2 in one word, it would be exhausting. I don't sleep well. I sleep maybe 6 hours a night. I don't keep normal hours. I work second shift and stay up half the night because that's just how I like to do it. And I have a hard time I'm very socially avoidant. I will also just I do what's called rapid cycling, which means I will go from hypomanic to anxious to depressed to exhausted within a space of a few hours. And this takes a lot out of me. So I just gotta work harder on this. I gotta get better medication, or I have to do some stuff with my lifestyle to make this better. There's a lot of stuff that I should be doing that I'm not, like exercising more, eating better, meditating, get out of the house. My therapist wants me to meditate, so I'm willing to give it a shot, even though it reminds me too much of all the new agey stuff I gave up. But it might help, so I might be willing to give it a try. So one thing I've learned, especially from my group therapy, I went to a therapy group of all women, and it was not strictly for bipolar disorder, but half of us had it. And it's great because we meet up and we talk to each other on the phone, and we can talk freely because we all know what the other people are going through. And I realized I'm not doing so bad. I mean, I really feel bad about not having finished college. I feel bad for not having gotten a degree or working way below my intellectual capacity. All that stuff really bothers me sometimes. But then I realized by a lot of people, but compared to other people, I was doing pretty good. I've never been on disability. I don't have to. I'm able to work. I can have a job. I have a pretty good relationship with my husband. I have a good relationship with my family. I have a support system. I'm actually doing pretty good, and I can do better, and I know I'm going to do better. So that's the first thing I wanted to do about bipolar disorder. And the second thing I'm going to do is do's and don'ts with dealing with your friends with mental illness. Things to say and things not to say. Okay, see you later.